Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Prayer to the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand the events that are currently happening on the earth, so that we can get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Been looking at a lot of these videos talking about the coronavirus. I'm going to help to try to bring some more understanding to the Israelites as well as to the Gentiles. What I'm seeing from a lot of people right now is a lot of fear. They're trying to blame things on the elite, on the rich people, like the actions that are being taken by, the people at the top are not making sense to people. Because it seems like they are possibly, I think they are attempting to let the virus spread. They're not going out of their way to protect the citizens. And I hear that from a lot of people. And with that being said, I'm going to show you guys an example of that. I was listening to True News earlier, and they made a startling, amount of information. They made a startling fact that a lot of people are not aware of. They showed how there are still flights coming in from China. And I'm going to play a little bit of that. And people are kind of like, you can kind of see that even for these people from True News, like, why would you do something like this? Why would you allow people coming from this infected area of the world to be able to come to, the United States, or to Britain, or, to all these other, places over here in Europe and the so-called Middle East? He's like, why are they allowing people to go, to Mexico, to South America? And they're kind of like, well, it seems like they're trying to spread this virus. Well, you're going to understand because who already knew about these kinds of things and how these things are going to happen and actually prophesied about these things. King Solomon knew about these things. And you're going to read a little bit here in the Odes of Solomon. When you see it and when you read it, it's going to actually make total sense of what you're seeing happening right now. When you're going to see how, these people have taken away the knowledge and understanding of the world, and then they abandon you. So you have no knowledge, no understanding, and then these people who have been lying to you the whole time abandon you, and then you start running around like chickens with your heads cut off because you have put your faith in men. Now I'm going to play a little bit of the True News broadcast from today, and it's called Free Speech Quarantine. News, Nazis, Plot, Coronavirus, Infodemic, Censorship. That's the name of the video. And like I said, the Most High puts spirits on different people to say things, to investigate things. See, like we said, Jews and Gentiles have been lied to. See, a lot of the Gentiles have been, they've been in a position where they can ignore everything that we're bringing because they still felt that these elites or these, higher ups still had their back. We're still telling them the truth. So long as they followed their God, they would be protected. Well, now they're realizing that they have been lied to, and that these people who made up these gods and all this, these religions, and as long as they gave them homage and everything else, that they would be protected. Well, now they're realizing that not only are they not being protected, they're actually being pretty much fed to the wolves. So let me play a little bit of this video. You guys can listen to it. When he's talking about these guys are all going to come together and talk about how there's still flights coming from China and how it makes absolutely no sense. Here we go. This is very serious. Something to be concerned. Yeah. Edward and I will help you out right now. All right. So I told him the flights are still coming in from China. And so I just showed them. This was on Sunday, yesterday. I just showed them. I got my iPad out and I said, now, okay, let's choose a city. Let's look at Beijing. And then I did Shanghai, and I did different cities. And I picked cities: San Francisco, Los Angeles, Dallas, Fort Worth,
Chicago, New York City, and I showed them how many flights were coming in yesterday or Sunday from those cities to those American cities. Right. I mean, your mind would say, certainly, no flights are coming in. Well, we'll enlighten you here. Today right before lunch, I decided to just do a snapshot of, there are different, online places where you go and you can see where planes are in the sky and stuff like that. One that I checked out today at 12 noon Eastern time was one called FlightAware, and I decided I'm going to look at the city of Wuhan. This is Wuhan? That's Wuhan right there. WUH. That's the airport. And those planes stacked up there around Wuhan right there.
If you start around the 49-minute mark of this video, of their video today, you'll get to this part and you can just listen to it and you can see the visuals. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and just put the link in the description box so you guys can check that out. It's that important. There's actually flights going in and out of Wuhan as of yesterday.
Are coming in and taking off. So I give you, and that was just at that moment in time. So you have different size planes and stuff like that. The big planes are passenger planes, right? So there's still traffic coming in and out of Wuhan. This was just at 12 noon today. So which in China that would have been in the middle of the morning. Well, no, 12 noon would be about midnight their time. So midnight, 1 a.m. So that's the first snapshot, and that right there, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, there's a lot of planes coming in and out there. But then I decided to do another snapshot too. This number 7. These are the flights listed outbound. That from overnight, it would have been starting at noon our time. This would have been midnight over the next couple hours. From what city? This is from Wuhan. From Wuhan. These are the planes going out. Now, most of them are going to other cities in China, but you've got several major hubs there. You've got the Shanghai airport, the Pudong airport there. You've got Beijing. You've got several going to there. So these are the flights departing from Wuhan overnight. From the airport there. These are all passenger flights. These aren't like commercial private planes or WHO planes or things like that. These are commercial planes where you buy a ticket to ride on the plane.
And there's one I found, actually looking through this list, Rick, that's actually coming to a U.S. state. There is still a direct flight coming from Wuhan to the United States. It's a flight to Anchorage. And that was just off today. I based this all off of what we've analyzed, the flights coming in and out of Wuhan today. There's 34 flights total coming between China and the United States, between both arriving and departing. But one flight is coming from Wuhan, arriving in Anchorage. There's 11 flights between Anchorage and Beijing. So another, look at this, 4 flights from New York JFK to Beijing. 3 flights between Beijing and Los Angeles. 9 flights between Los Angeles and Shanghai. 2 flights between Chicago and Beijing. 2 flights between Beijing and Dallas, and 2 flights between Shanghai and Dallas. Total is 34 flights. You'd think it would be 0, especially after the reporting and the statements by the WHO just this month.
And the passengers, nobody wants to see the Chinese people mistreated, ostracized. This is a health crisis. Okay, if coronavirus was in Australia or Great Britain, my position would be the same. It doesn't matter what region of the world. You lock that region down, right? And you say nobody from there comes into this country until this crisis is over. Well, there have also been reports of coronavirus in like Shanghai and Beijing and other places as well. So we'll put some more maps up here for you, Rick. And this is number 8 for control. So these are the flights from Shanghai to the U.S. for today. For today. Right. So these are the actual flights, all the flights that are departing just for today, February 17, 2020, from the city of Shanghai, the Pudong airport, which you and I have been through many times. Traveling in the Far East. So you see all the different places in the U.S. where, we have flights going to. We also have a map here. I hope it's the correct map. This is number 9. Flights from Beijing to the U.S. for today. Okay. So you've got all the different flights departing from Beijing, going to different points in the U.S. Now, are all these planes infected? Who knows? We don't know. The passengers are getting off the planes. Are you telling me that CDC has doctors and nurses at the gates?
No, because we spoke to a pilot. We spoke to an employee, a senior employee of one of the major airlines in the world. They told us no precautions are being taken. Not even filling the Purell dispensers.
What about the luggage? Yes, the luggage is coming off the planes. All right, you ready for a shocker? All right. So this next map that we're going to put up here, Rick, these are all the flights from Wuhan to global destinations for today. From Wuhan, yes.
There's a plane going to Britain. Look at that.
Is that France? Is that Paris?
That's Britain.
It's going to, looks like Istanbul.
One went to Istanbul and one went to Britain.
Going to Great Britain. And of course, okay, I see. And all over Southeast Asia there. You see that? Indonesia.
I gotta put my glasses on.
So let's keep that still up keep that still up. So these are all the flights for February 17, 2020, departing globally from Wuhan. And so the blue indicates what they consider regional. The green indicates what they consider international. So, and I'm not quite sure what the red ones mean. So going into Malaysia, all over Malaysia.
Okay, so we'll stop right there. So there are still flying, there are passenger flights going from different parts of China to different parts of the United States, to different cities all over the world. This is why now a lot of the Gentiles, even like I said, a lot of Hebrews who aren't in the know, are still not understanding the fact that why would they still be letting these people go all over the place? Well, come to find out earlier today, I think it was these guys that were still talking about that, or actually we were listening to it somewhere where they were talking about how they took off some of the people from that ship in Japan, some of the Americans. And I guess what they were saying was that, actually it was from True News, I think it was the same video, or a little bit earlier, but they were talking about how the Americans, when they got them off the ship, did not force them to come back to America, and because if they came to America, they were going to be pretty much made to go into quarantine, 14-day quarantine. But if they chose not to, they could go anywhere else they wanted to. But when they were decided to come back to the United States, they were going to be forced to go into the 14-day quarantine. So what I heard was that one of the couples, I think it was on the True News video also, one of the couples decided not to go directly back to the United States, but actually continue with their vacation. So these people have been on this ship. Who knows if they're infected or not? But they decided, instead of being, going back to the United States and being quarantined, that they were going to just go ahead and continue with their sightseeing. And then when they were done with their sightseeing, and whenever they decided to come back to the United States, then they would start their quarantine. That should just let you know what is going on and how strict they are not being with a lot of this stuff. And with a lot of people are realizing, they're like, well, the elites had plans to depopulate the world, all these years ago. It was 2009, 2010, 2008, somewhere around there. They were already making plans. You guys got to understand, these guys don't make those decisions. The Most High is the one who's going to decide about the depopulation and who's getting depopulated and how many people are the Most High is going to take out. It's not up to these elites. It's up to the Most High. I remember reading a story, I want to say off of CNN, and they talked about how there were so many of our people killed when the Spaniards got here that I wanted to say it changed the atmosphere. I'm sure someone has already read that article, but maybe they can put the link to that article in the description box. But there was so much death and, as you want to say, depopulation, that it affected the atmosphere because there was so many people dying. And that's what the Most High allowed to happen. There's so much death and destruction of our people. So many millions of our people have been killed that it affected the population. The atmosphere, the whole environment. And I keep saying that, well, now, the elites want to do the same thing. We have 7 billion people and they only want this many people. No, that's the Most High. That's his plan. If you read in Esdras, what does it say? This world is made for many, but the one that is coming in the future is made for few. The one that is coming is made for few. So this world has billions and billions and billions of people. But the Most High said that the world to come is made for few. That has nothing to do with the elites. That has to do with the Most High and his plans. You see, when you don't read the scriptures and you've vomited up all of your understanding, which we're going to talk about with Solomon in a little bit, you wouldn't understand that. You think that it's the elites that are, trying to kill off everyone. No, it's not them. The Most High killed off a bunch of our people because we sinned, and he's going to kill off a lot of other people, a lot of from the people from the other nation, because they did exactly the same thing. This is just a picture. It's not a picture of what really is going on right now, but it's a picture of like a lot of ships that are like out to sea. I guess like China has already ordered, a year ago to have all these ships bring all this oil because of the factories and all the things that they were building. And these are future contracts that, these people are showing up trying to fulfill by bringing the oil that they said they were going to bring. But China is not accepting it because the factories are all shut down because everyone is being forced into quarantine. So now that's going to definitely have an effect on the oil market. It's going to have an effect on, people producing things. It's going to have an effect on all the different economies, and it's like they're talking about how you can only hide this stuff for so long. They're talking about how right now oil is holding at $50 a gallon, but you see all these, just like a load, from as far as I can see of just tankers full of oil that's not getting delivered. So there's no way that oil should be really still up to holding on to $50 a barrel. But that's what they're talking about. Now, also a lot of people not. I wanted to say it was you got a lot of information. If you want to listen to those guys' videos, they have a lot of information. They were talking about like a 90% drop in people coming to visit these Chinese cities from like January 15th to February 15th. There was a 90% drop of people coming to visit them. Then I guess they have what is it, Hong Kong Disney? That's that's not doing well. They were talking about how all these, you just start thinking about the hotels and how, they're losing all this business. The planes, airlines losing all this money and all this business. All these companies that are dependent upon the China to produce things for them, that's not going to go well. So like I said, the mill is coming to a halt, and it's going to, have a worldwide effect. And like I said, there's a couple other things. I was listening to last night. I wanted to say a few people in Uber. Let me see if I can find that article. Let me look really quick. Because like I said, there's an Uber. Yeah, let me see if I can find it, if I still have it on here. Okay, this is from the New York Post. This is the title here. This is February 4th. This is like almost 2 weeks ago. And it says Uber suspends hundreds of accounts after coronavirus patient takes rides in Mexico. So this person was, I think, had coronavirus and was taking, what was it, Uber, all around the city. It says, I'll read a little bit of it. A Chinese man who tested positive for the coronavirus had used Uber on a recent trip to Mexico, prompting the company to suspend hundreds of other riders' accounts to contain the spread of the epidemic. It says the man flew January 20th from Los Angeles to Mexico City, where he took Uber rides on at least 2 occasions, the BBC reported. He then began suffering symptoms on the evening of January 21st, and the next day took an Uber back to the airport, the report said, and the man flew back to the U.S., where he was diagnosed with the coronavirus. Now, this is just one account. There's all these other accounts that are coming up all over the place. So the same kinds of things, people being infected and going on these trips and going here. So this guy was on an airplane. This guy was on Uber. What was he doing down in Mexico? It's like the stuff is just getting out of control. And instead of actually, trying to find the people, figure out what to do, it's just kind of like just keep it on the down low. Don't say anything. So that should let you know that they're not trying to stop it. But like I said, I'm going to show you how Solomon already told you about how these things are going to go down at the end. And this is what happens when you, that's why they hide these books. Very few people have read the Odes of Solomon. Solomon wrote a whole lot because he was downloaded with a whole lot of information. Now, I'm just going to tell you real quick, if you haven't read, what is it, the Book of Mormon, Jacob 5, if you skip into the 60s, it talks about, when the Most High starts giving us this information back and we begin to grow, he's going to begin to remove the trees that produce bad fruit. And as we grow, he takes away the ones, as we grow in producing good fruit, he takes away the ones that are producing bad fruit at the same level. So if we grow and we continue to grow and produce more good fruit, say we get like another 100, 200, 2,000, 3,000, he takes away 100, 200, 300,000, depending on how we grow. That's in Jacob 5 in the 60s. I'm going to say 63, 64. Check it out. Now, we said we've been about 10 months into this, the Book of More, connecting it with the other books, connecting with the historical information, and look at how much we're growing. Now you're starting to see the Most High moving to remove the ones producing the bad fruit, just like he said he would. But the other nations, you guys should be happy. You guys got Joel Osteen and Kanye West. I'm sure that you guys can put your faith in these guys right here. I'm sure they've told you about how, you were going to get lied to at your knowledge, and the people who've been lied to are just going to pretty much abandon you in your time of need. I'm sure they told you that, right? This is why you gotta laugh at all these people. They talk about all the things they see, and then they kind of just throw in a little Jesus shot at the end, a little sprinkle of Jesus at the end. Yeah, things look really, really bad, but hey, just give your life to Jesus. And that'll fix it all. That's what they get. That's what they have, because they have nothing else. They're not going to tell you who the people are. Not going to tell you where the lands are. Not going to tell you the Most High's plan from the beginning to the end. Not tell you who you need to cleave to. They're not going to tell you who, if you're not a Hebrew, who you need to be a supporting, so that the Most High will. What does he say? I will bless those that bless thee, Abraham and his people, and I will curse those who curse thee. See, if you've been taught your whole life to curse the Most High's chosen people and you didn't even know it, I think many people would definitely be trying to bless the real people if they thought that would help them. And even to this end, the enemy is still trying to make you, have disdain for the Most High's chosen people. And all we've been trying to do is be the light that you need. But you'll see soon enough. This is what we're going to read right now. And you're going to see what's going on right now. You're going to see how these other nations have turned their backs on you and are now allowing all these plagues to be manifest. One thing I said that this was absolutely amazing was the fact that the incubation period. They keep saying 14 days, 14 days, 14 days, 14 days. Well, it was amazing because they just allowed all these people to leave all these bases after 14 days. And then yesterday there was a report that came out that said that the incubation period is up to 24 days, even more. Now, if these guys are making these claims and they're coming out with these reports, I'm sure that the people here knew that, but they still allowed all these people to go after 14 days. Not only did they let them go, they didn't even test them, even when they were asking to be tested. So like I said, there's a whole lot of things going on here, and you should understand the fact that they are allowing a lot of these things to happen because it's the Most High's will. He's the one that's allowing it, but you're going to see right here in the Odes of Solomon, that's exactly what he was talking about. Remember now, this was written a long time ago by King Solomon. So like I said, always look at actions, don't look at words. Look at what they're doing, not what they're telling you. Okay? Let's see here. Let's read the whole thing from the top. But truth is proceeding on the upright way, and whatever I did not understand, he declared to me. All the drugs of error and pains of death, which are considered sweetness, and the corrupting of the corrupter, I saw when the bride who was corrupting was adorned, and the bridegroom who corrupts and is corrupted. And I asked the truth, who are these? And he said to me, this is the deceiver and the error. And they imitate the beloved and his bride, and they cause the world to err and corrupt it. All right. So there you go. There you got where they came over here and they brought their, good times Jesus to you, and the good time mother that they set up for you. They were deceiving the whole world. And they imitate the beloved and his bride, and they cause the world to err and corrupt it. That's exactly what they've done. And they invite many to the wedding feast and allow them to drink the wine of their intoxications. So they cause them to vomit up their wisdom and their knowledge and make themselves senseless. So the whole world has vomited up their wisdom. They don't think for themselves. They go with whatever they're told to do, whatever they're told to think. And that's exactly what has happened. They vomit up their wisdom and their knowledge. They have no knowledge. And you guys all know that by now. It makes them senseless. That's exactly what they are. Senseless. Empty vessels. Okay? Let's see here. Then, this is what you're seeing right now. This is the key. This is what you're seeing right now. So after they had them vomit up their wisdom and knowledge, understanding, makes them senseless. So now they don't know anything. What do? Then they abandon them. What do? They are going to abandon you, Gentiles, and people who have made that covenant with them. They're not going to save you. They're not going to rapture you away. Good times Jesus is not going to cover them. These elites, or these people that are at the top, are going to abandon you. And that's exactly what you're seeing. They are abandoning you right now. So again, then they abandon them. And so they stumble about like mad and corrupted men. Now all these other people now are still trying to figure this out. They're still trying to put a good face on it. But they're stumbling around with no understanding. Stumbling around, like I said, like mad and corrupted men. Since there is no understanding in them, neither do they seek it. See, they don't have any understanding. And when we try to bring them the truth, they're not seeking it. They're not trying to accept it because they don't want to accept it from someone that looks like myself, because they've been, they've been given the Kool-Aid to think that they were the ones that were on top and that they were the ones that knew everything. And now they're realizing that the people who they put their trust in, they put their faith in, are now abandoning them. And that's exactly what you're seeing. Again, you got to read that part again. Then they abandon them. And so they stumble about like mad and corrupted men. Since there is no understanding in them, neither do they seek it. They have no understanding and they're not seeking it. They have no understanding and they don't want to listen to us. They have no understanding and they don't want to accept what we're telling them. And that's exactly what Solomon was saying was going to happen here at the end. But I have been made wise so as not to fall into the hands of the deceivers. So we didn't fall into the hands of the deceivers. We've been kept separated. We've been taught by the Holy Spirit. So therefore we can recognize these deceivers and know to stay away from their doctrine. And I myself rejoiced because the truth had gone with me. For I was established and lived and was saved. And my foundations were laid on account of the Lord's hand, because he has planted me. For he set the root and watered it and adapted it and blessed it, and its fruits will be forever. That's what you're seeing right now. You see how the Most High has already, established and gave us the truth, gave us that knowledge and understanding. So as you see the separation of how the other people have put their faith in good times Jesus in Caesarea, and the people who established that have abandoned them, and now they're lost. They don't have any truth in them, and they're not looking for it. Now the ones who the Most High is dealing with will lead them to the truth and lead them to bless the Most High's chosen people so that they can be blessed. You see how this is all working out now? And this is all written in the Odes of Solomon. So now when you start to see like how there's 1,000 people, I mean, who knows more than 1,000 people that should be quarantined in LA, and they let them self-quarantine. Now you understand why, because it talks about how they were going to be abandoned. There's people that are being self-quarantined all over the country. I'm sure there are, but we're not going to hear about it because the Most High said that they were going to abandon them. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're going to let people, like I said, come off the ship. Oh, if you don't want to come, come back here to home, finish your vacation. When you're done with your vacation, if you want to stay longer for your vacation, that's cool. Whenever you feel like, you want to come back home, then go ahead and come on over here and then we'll quarantine you for 14 days, not 24. And then, we'll let you go. And you know what? We won't even test you after those 14 days. Does that make any sense? No, because they've abandoned you. And that's exactly what King Solomon said was going to happen. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now. So as you look at the news and you start to see like, damn, they're not trying to do anything. Damn, they're just letting this stuff just kind of roll on out. Well, there you go. Now you understand why. Because it said about King Solomon that these people were going to abandon you. And that's exactly what they're doing. So I hope this gives more knowledge and understanding of what you're seeing. So don't be surprised when you see people doing things that seems like they're not trying to, curtail what's going on. Now you know why. Because they've abandoned these people. They've abandoned the world. And they're not trying to save it anymore. Because they know that their time is up. All praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother, who is wisdom, who is the Holy Spirit. Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.